In NFL free agency, you see new faces in new places constantly. That is what the beauty of NFL free agency is. You get to see players signing over $100 million deal contracts. You get to see players barely signing on for the league veteran minimum. It's why it's such a fun time for NFL fans, because you get to see so many new players come in and out of a franchise, some loved, some hated. You see some legends jumping to new teams that you never thought would see play in other jerseys. But today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about free agents that were signed for bargain deals and ended up playing amazing. Now, I'm going to highlight Zach Bond for a second. Even though I hate the Eagles, he has absolutely exceeded his first contract that the Eagles gave him, playing way better than that very small amount of money he was making last season, and he has very much earned that lengthy and expensive extension that he signed with the Eagles. So, in honor of Zach Bond, we're going to talk about 3 more classic NFL steals in free agency. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you drop a sub. We are almost there to 1,000 subscribers, and let's jump right into the video. Ladies and gentlemen, that was plenty of Eagles glaze for one Gabe Sayers Believer video. So now let's jump into a Redskins player, some Redskins glaze, and even the thumbnail of the video, the person who made me think of this video to begin with. I'm talking about London Fletcher. Now, London Fletcher was born May 19th, 1975 in Cleveland, Ohio. And, unlike many NFL stars, he wasn't really highly recruited out of high school. He attended John Carroll University, a small D3 school, where he played linebacker and safety. And despite playing at a lower level, London Fletcher dominated, setting school records and, earning D3 linebacker of the year honors. However, coming from a small program, he did go undrafted in the 1998 NFL draft, forcing him to fight for a roster spot in the league. Now, when he broke into the NFL, he actually signed with the St. Louis Rams as an undrafted free agent in 1998. It was primarily a special teams player. However, relentless work ethic, great instincts on defense, quickly earned him playing time. And by 1999, London Fletcher had taken over as a starting middle linebacker, became a key contributor to the greatest show on turf Rams team that won the Super Bowl. Now, Fletcher continued to cement his place as the Rams defensive leader in 2000, where he recorded over 100 tackles, over 5 sacks, and over 3 forced fumbles. And he continued to play strong in 2001, posting over 150 tackles, and the Rams reached another Super Bowl, though they did lose to the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Despite that fantastic production, St. Louis actually chose not to re-sign him after the 2001 season, which made him a free agent for the first time. In 2002, London Fletcher would sign a 5-year, $17.1 million contract with the Buffalo Bills. And again, that is already a bargain of a player of his caliber. And he immediately became one of the heart of Buffalo's defense, bringing leadership, elite tackling, and so much more to this Buffalo Bill defense. In his first season in 2002, he recorded over 100 tackles, over 3 sacks. And, over his 5 years in Buffalo, Fletcher never missed a game. And he consistently ranked among the NFL's leading tacklers. He led the Bills in tackles every year and recorded at least 100 tackles in each season. And despite his dominance, Buffalo again chose not to offer him a long-term extension after 2006, which allowed him to test free agency again. Now here is where the steal comes to play. At age 32, London Fletcher didn't have a huge market because they didn't think that he could maintain that same production, but the Washington Redskins recognized that value. And they signed him to a 5-year, $25 million contract. Now, in 2007, that is still, decent money, but for how big of a star London Fletcher was and is, that's not that much money. And a move that actually proved to be one of the best free agent signings in Redskins/Commander/football team histories. London Fletcher became the undisputed leader of Washington's defense from day one, recording 100-plus tackles in each of his first 6 seasons with the team. And he called plays for the defense and was the heart and soul of the unit. Fletcher had long been overlooked for Pro Bowls and All-Pros, and despite producing numbers that are on par with Ray Lewis and Brian Urlacher, he just wasn't giving those distinctions. After an amazing 2009 season, he finished with 140-plus tackles and a bunch of other great statistics, including a bunch of pass deflections, a couple sacks, and a bunch of other key moments for the Skins that year. And finally, he was earning his first Pro Bowl nod in the year of 2009 at age 34, which was just, he should have been in the Pro Bowl so much before that, but he would go on to make 4 straight Pro Bowls from 2009 to 2012, and was even named a second-team All-Pro 2011 and 2012. And, incredible durability, never missing a game in his 16-year career, playing in over 250-plus consecutive games, and even finishing his career with 200-plus consecutive starts, which was the longest streak by a linebacker in NFL history. London Fletcher would play his final NFL season in 2013, retiring at age 38, and despite never receiving the national attention of other elite linebackers, his numbers, his durability stood out among the best ever. Finishing his career, he had 2,000-plus tackles, 39 sacks, 23 picks, 19 forced fumbles, was a 4-time Pro Bowl selection, 2-time second-team All-Pro, and a Super Bowl champion. If you don't think that London Fletcher should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you are dumb, inbred, and probably like your mother a little too much. London Fletcher is one of the best linebackers of all time, and despite being an undrafted free agent and even signing smaller contracts in free agency, he outperformed so many other linebackers of that generation. Now, obviously, his testament and his career is a total testament to hard work, consistency, and leadership. And honestly, he is an absolute steal for the money that he got in free agency. The Redskins and the Bills had massive steals signing London Fletcher for that cheap. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a little bit of a unorthodox follow-up, and this is James Harrison. Now, James Harrison was born May 4th, 1978 in Akron, Ohio, and he played football at Coventry High School, where he displayed crazy talent, but was truly often overlooked because of his lack of size. And, he did have potential, but he went undrafted out of Kent State University in the 2002 NFL Draft, largely because he was considered too small to play linebacker at the NFL level. Now, Harrison was standing at 6 feet tall and a buck in about 240, but he didn't fit that traditional prototype of an NFL pass rusher, which led many teams to pass on him. He truly struggled to make an NFL roster from 2002 to 2004, and he would sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers as an undrafted free agent in 2002, but his journey was far from easy. Cut 3 times by the Steelers, cut once by the Baltimore Ravens, and even spending time on different practice squads. He was considering a different career before he got one more chance and re-signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers to their active roster. Now, this is what I'm saying the free agent deal is. This re-signing to their active roster is what I'm considering the free agent deal, because obviously it is a league veteran minimum. And he initially came in as a special teams player, but Harrison began earning playing time as a backup linebacker behind Joey Porter and Clark Higgins with that crazy fucking work ethic that we were talking about before. Here comes the breakout. Now, Harrison's relentless work ethic paid off, and by 2005, he was a key depth piece on a Steelers defense that had just won the Super Bowl. However, his true breakout did not come until 2007, when Pittsburgh released Joey Porter, which allowed James Harrison to step into a starting role at outside linebacker. Now here comes the rise to stardom. In 2007, in his first time as a full-time starter, Harrison recorded 8.5 sacks, nearly 100 tackles, and 7 forced fumbles, which earned him his first Pro Bowl selection. And then by 2008, he put together a historic season, leading Pittsburgh's top-ranked defense with 16 sacks, over 100 tackles, and 7 forced fumbles, earning NFL Defensive Player of the Year. He capped off that insane 2008 season with one of the greatest plays in Super Bowl history, his 100-yard interception return for a touchdown in the Super Bowl, which helped the Steelers defeat the Arizona Cardinals. Now, Harrison did remain an elite pass rusher for Pittsburgh, earning 5 straight Pro Bowl selections and even a first-team All-Pro selection twice. He did have some brief stints with some other teams. He was gone from the Steelers by 2013 as injuries and salary cap issues kind of led to a mutual departure. And he signed a 2-year deal with the Cincinnati Bengals, but after just one season, he actually retired, only to return in 2014 when the Steelers actually needed linebacker depth. Even in his late 30s, Harrison continued to be a force, and in 2016, at age 38, he led the Steelers in sacks with 5 and helped them reach the AFC Championship game. He had a very short stint with the New England Patriots and, had a little bit of a falling out with the Steelers over playing time, and then would join the New England Patriots and played, honestly, a key role for their 2017 postseason run. And he actually even started in that Super Bowl. However, after the season, he officially retired. Now, obviously, James Harrison has a crazy legacy and a huge Hall of Fame case. 84.5 career sacks, 800-plus tackles, 34 forced fumbles, 8 picks, 2-time Super Bowl champion, an NFL Defensive Player of the Year, 5-time Pro Bowl selection, 2-time first-team All-Pro. I know I'm talking quick here. This guy's got a lot to his resume. And, his journey from being an undrafted free agent to one of the most feared pass rushers in the NFL makes him one of the greatest success stories. But beyond that, he's also a huge steal in free agency. This dude could have been signed by anybody for all those early years, and he kept getting cut and re-signed and cut and re-signed, and anybody could have had him. And the Steelers were able to get James Harrison for one of the biggest steals in NFL history. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are on to the last name of our list, and we are looking at Cris Carter. And this is how he went from cut by the Eagles to a Hall of Fame legend. Now, Cris Carter was born November 25th, 1965 in Troy, Ohio, and was a multi-sport athlete in high school before choosing to play football at Ohio State University. Actually originally recruited as a tight end, Carter quickly transitioned to wide receiver, where he became one of the best pass catchers in college football. At Ohio State, Carter was known for his incredible hands and precise route running, finishing his college career with 168 catches, 2,700 yards, and 27 touchdowns. However, his college career ended ended prematurely after he signed with an agent before his senior season, making him ineligible for his final year. Entering the NFL draft, Carter entered the 1987 NFL supplemental draft where the Eagles selected him in the 4th round, and he showed promise as a red zone threat, actually catching 19 touchdowns in his first 3 seasons, but off the field issues, including drug and alcohol problems, caused his release from the Eagles in 1989. His head coach, Buddy Ryan, famously said, "All he does is catch touchdowns." Despite his talent, Carter was at a crossroads in his career, and many teams were hesitant to take a chance on him, but that was until 1990, where stardom would follow. After being cut by the Eagles, Carter was claimed off waivers by the Minnesota Vikings for just $100, and this turns out to be one of the biggest steals in NFL history. By 1991, Carter had developed into the Vikings' top receiver, posting 72 catches, 900 plus yards, and 5 touchdowns, and by 1993, he would have his first 1,000-yard season with 86 catches and 9 touchdowns. In 1994, he was set an NFL record with 122 receptions at the time, which would obviously be later broken, but for now is what for that time was a crazy record. From 1994 to 1999, he had 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons, averaging 99 catches, 1,200 yards, and 11 touchdowns per year during this 6-year span. And Carter became known for his elite hands, crazy sideline awareness, and ability to make great catches. He was not the fastest receiver, but his route running and football IQ made him nearly unstoppable in the red zone. His best season would come in 1995, where he would have 122 catches, 1,300 yards, and 17 touchdowns, and would lead the NFL in receptions for a 2nd straight year, earning himself first-team All-Pro honors. When Randy Moss joined the Vikings in 1998, Carter helped mentor him, forming one of the NFL's craziest and dangerous wide receiver duos, and that season, Carter had 78 catches for 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns, and he helped the Vikings have a crazy impressive record. Carter would play with the Vikings until 2001 after finishing his Vikings career as the franchise leader in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. And now in 2002, his final NFL season, at age 37, Carter attempted just one more season with the Miami Dolphins, but injuries, declining speed, and it truly just limited him to only appearing in 8 games, catching 8 passes and 1 touchdown. After that season, he would retire from the NFL. And obviously, Cris Carter is a NFL legend, an NFL Hall of Famer. He had 1,100 receptions, nearly 14,000 receiving yards, 130 receiving touchdowns. He was an 8-time Pro Bowl selection. He was a 2-time first-team All-Pro. He was in the NFL 1990s All-Decade Team, and of course, a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, class of 2013. Now, Carter is widely considered one of the best possession receivers in NFL history, and is hard to believe that he was cut by the Eagles and claimed for only $100, but he turned his career around, overcoming personal struggles to become a Hall of Famer with his outstanding hands, route running, and leadership, which makes him not only a Vikings legend, but a legend in the NFL. Now, Cris Carter's journey from being absolutely forgotten, and not only forgotten, but abandoned, and then being picked up for $100 is one of the biggest bargains in NFL history. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know we went with something different today for the video. This was a NFL free agency video about some of the biggest steals ever in NFL free agency, and that's because, free agency is a recent topic right now. My Redskins are doing pretty solid. I love the Commanders. I call them all three. I call them the football team, the Commanders, the Redskins. I don't care, bro. They're still my team. But, pretty solid offseason so far. I like the Laramie Tunsil move. I like the Debo move. I like the signings. Obviously, we were trying to swing at some of the bigger name corners as reported on, but I like, honestly, bringing in Jonathan Jones for a nice 1-year contract, letting him be a nice veteran in that corner room. And I like a lot of the depth signings because we are frankly being smart, not signing a lot of guys long-term besides Javon Kinlaw, who we see a lot in, and making sure that we're going to have a lot of money for next year as well, not overpaying for guys that we don't see fitting the price tag. So I like it. I think the Commanders have a way better roster than we did last year, so let's see how we can grow from there. Ladies and gentlemen, please make sure you like, please make sure you subscribe. I love making these videos for you. This is obviously a little bit of a longer one, so I hope you guys stuck around. I have more awesome content coming out soon, and if you want to see more videos like this, not just forgotten players, but talking about free agency or even talking about modern topics, please let me know. I hope to see you guys all again soon. Make sure you subscribe. Like I said, we're nearly there to 1,000 subscribers, so make sure you smoke crack and eat drywall. I will see you guys again very, very soon.